What's good, Raider Nation? Lock in, because what I'm about to break down will completely change how you see this organization's trajectory toward championship contention. We're talking about developments that prove this franchise is operating on multiple levels simultaneously, developing young talent, leveraging legendary experience, and building offensive explosiveness that could shock the entire league. Today, we've got stories that will electrify every silver and black soul. A rookie cornerback whose rapid development is catching the attention of defensive coordinators. A surprise appearance from football royalty that signals this ownership group's championship commitment, and a running back whose training camp performances are making analysts suggest he's already worth multiple first-round picks. If you bleed silver and black, smash that subscribe, destroy that like button, and let your voice be heard in the comments, because Raider Nation dominates every conversation in football. The first story reveals how this coaching staff's developmental philosophy is already paying dividends with young talent that could transform the entire defensive identity. We're talking about Darian Porter, a third-round cornerback whose training camp progression is the kind of success story that separates championship organizations from those that waste draft capital. Porter came into the draft as a high prospect who many expected to go much earlier than the third round. When he fell to the Raiders, it represented the kind of value acquisition that championship front offices dream about. Getting premium talent at a discount because other teams overthink or get distracted by needs that seem more pressing. But draft position means nothing if a player can't develop once he arrives. And that's where the Raiders' defensive infrastructure is proving its worth. Under defensive coordinator Patrick Graham and the guidance of Pete Carroll, Porter is absorbing information at a rate that has coaches excited about his immediate impact potential. "I think there's been a lot of improvement," Porter said. "Working with Coach Woods, Coach Carroll, and all the rest of the guys, you know they are giving me a lot of valuable information to be an NFL cornerback. I'm just trying to soak in as much as I can and put everything together as quickly as possible. I think the physicality helps me out." What makes Porter's development especially significant is the context surrounding the Raiders' secondary. They lost key players from last season's defense in free agency, creating opportunities for young talent to step up immediately. Porter isn't just competing for future playing time, he's battling for a role that could define this defense's ceiling in 2025. Graham has a proven track record of maximizing young defensive talent. Last season, when injuries and departures forced him to rely on inexperienced players, those rookies and second-year players performed beyond expectations. Graham's system doesn't just develop players technically, it prepares them mentally for the speed and complexity of NFL offenses. The beauty of Porter's situation is that he doesn't have to be perfect immediately. The coaching staff believes in gradual development while also recognizing when a player is ready to contribute. Porter's preseason performances will be crucial in determining whether he can earn significant playing time as a rookie. But early training camp reports suggest he's ahead of schedule. This represents everything the Raiders are trying to build: identifying undervalued talent, developing it through superior coaching, and creating depth that allows the defense to maintain its identity regardless of injuries or personnel changes. But just as Porter's development was generating excitement about the future of the secondary, something happened at Friday's training camp practice that reminded everyone this organization has resources and connections that extend far beyond typical NFL franchises. The second wave of energy coursing through Raiders camp came in the form of football royalty making an unannounced appearance that sent shockwaves through players, coaches, and anyone who understands what true championship experience looks like. We're talking about Tom Brady, and his surprise visit to practice represents something much bigger than a minority owner checking on his investment. Brady attended Friday's training camp practice and was immediately visible throughout the facility, engaging with players across the roster. He was seen in deep conversation with veteran running back Raheem Mostert, spending time with all-pro tight end Brock Bowers, and having extensive discussions with first-year general manager John Spytek, who worked with Brady during their Tampa Bay Buccaneers days. What makes Brady's presence significant isn't just the star power, it's the timing and the implications for this organization's championship timeline. Brady became a minority owner in October 2024, but this represents his most visible involvement with the team's day-to-day operations. Brady's role with the Raiders is still being defined. complicated by his broadcasting commitments with Fox that prevent full-time facility presence. But majority owner Mark Davis made it clear back in October that Brady's involvement would extend far beyond typical ownership duties. Tom is somebody that for many years I didn't like very much. Davis said after Brady joined the ownership group, referencing their history from the infamous Tuck Rule game. He did admit that it was a fumble. So those are important aspects of the situation. We're just really proud to have him as a partner. He's a competitor. He's a bright young man. The most intriguing part of Davis's comments involved Brady's potential role in quarterback evaluation. Although Tom can't play, I think he can help us select a quarterback in the future and potentially train as well. This suggests Brady's Friday appearance wasn't just a casual visit. It was part of an ongoing evaluation process where the greatest quarterback in NFL history is providing input on organizational direction. Having someone who won 7 Super Bowl championships offering insights on roster construction, player development, and championship culture is an advantage that can't be measured in traditional metrics. The timing is particularly interesting given that the Raiders added veteran Geno Smith this offseason while also drafting Cam Miller on day 3. Brady's presence during training camp suggests he's actively involved in evaluating both the current quarterback situation and future draft strategies. For players like Bowers and Master, having access to Brady's experience and championship mindset could prove invaluable. Brady's ability to share insights about what separates good teams from championship teams, what it takes to perform under pressure, and how to maintain excellence over time could accelerate this roster's development in ways that normal ownership structures simply can't provide. And just as Brady's surprise appearance was generating buzz about the championship resources available to this organization, something else was quietly building momentum on the practice fields. Something that could transform this offense from one of the league's worst rushing attacks into a dynamic, explosive unit that defenses simply aren't prepared to handle. But trust me, the most explosive part of this story is still coming, because while everyone was focused on defensive development and ownership involvement, a rookie was putting together training camp performances that have analysts suggesting he might already be worth multiple first-round picks. The third story is where all the strategic planning and talent acquisition comes together in the form of a player who could single-handedly change this offense's identity and ceiling. We're talking about Ashton Genty, and what he's showing in training camp isn't just promising. It's the kind of game-changing ability that transforms struggling units into championship weapons. ESPN's Bill Barnwell recently analyzed the hypothetical trade value of each team's most valuable players, and his assessment of Genty sent shockwaves through the football analytics community. According to Barnwell, the Raiders could get at least a first-round pick, if not more, for their rookie running back. Being the top running back selected in a deep class hasn't always yielded top-of-the-class results, but it's clear many teams saw Genty as a cut above the rest of the backs in the 2025 draft. Barnwell explained. ESPN's Phil Yates had Genty as the 4th best player overall in the class, while the next best back was Omarion Hampton, who came in at 26th. The market analysis is fascinating. There are organizations that wouldn't want to use a first-round pick on a running back for fear of incurring an opportunity cost and missing out on a position that's more difficult to fill. And there are enough, especially after what we saw last season with Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, that would have been happy to send a first-round pick and more to the Raiders to move up for Genty in April. But theoretical trade value means nothing compared to what Genty is actually providing this offense in training camp. Jackson Powers Johnson, who works with him every day in practice, offered insights that reveal just how special this rookie is becoming. Runs hard, and he doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and when he does, he learns from them. And that's all you can ask from a rookie, Powers Johnson said. I mean, learn from your mistakes, and he's doing everything that he can to be great. You see it, and you hear it, and you feel it, so he's doing great. What makes Genty's development so crucial is the context of where this Raiders rushing attack has been. Last season, they finished as the worst rushing team in the league at just 79.8 yards per game. That kind of offensive limitation makes everything else exponentially more difficult. It puts additional pressure on the passing game, makes the defense play longer stretches, and prevents the team from controlling games even when they have leads. Genty's college production suggested he could be an immediate impact player, but his training camp performances are exceeding even optimistic projections. He's demonstrating the quick feet and cutting ability that made him special at Boise State, but he's also showing the vision and patience that translate to NFL success. The beauty of Genty's skill set is how it complements everything else the Raiders are building offensively. With Geno Smith's arm talent, Brock Bowers' receiving ability, and an improved offensive line, adding a legitimate rushing threat creates the kind of multi-dimensional attack that keeps defensive coordinators awake at night. Early training camp reports suggest Genty is already showing the home run ability that made him such a coveted prospect. He's making cuts that few professional running backs can execute, finding running lanes that shouldn't exist, and displaying the acceleration that turns 5-yard gains into 50-yard touchdowns. The psychological impact of having a legitimate rushing threat extends throughout the entire offensive structure. Play action becomes more effective when linebackers have to respect the run fake. The passing game opens up when safeties can't simply bracket receivers. The offensive line's job becomes easier when they're not in obvious passing situations on every down. And that player, Genty, was the one nobody expected to be generating multiple first-round picks trade value before ever playing a regular season snap. While defensive development and ownership involvement dominated headlines, Genty was quietly proving that this offensive transformation isn't just possible, it's inevitable. So here we stand, Raider Nation, an organization developing elite young talent, leveraging championship experience from ownership, and building offensive explosiveness that could shock the league. The question isn't whether this team has the pieces to compete. It's whether the rest of the NFL is ready for what happens when all these elements come together. Porter's development shows superior coaching infrastructure. Brady's involvement demonstrates championship resources. But Genty's emergence proves this offense could transform from league worst to league dangerous in a single season. If this fired you up, smash that like. Drop your boldest prediction about Genty's rookie season and subscribe, because this story is building towards something special that could define the next decade of Raiders football. But because this story, we're just getting started and the explosion is coming.